Many English learners say the same thing. I know English words. I understand grammar, but when I try to speak, my mind goes blank. What is really happening in these moments is not a lack of knowledge. It is the habit of translation. When you translate, your brain is working in two languages at the same time. This creates delay, confusion, and fear. Thinking in English begins when translation slowly disappears and meaning connects directly to sound. From the beginning, most learners are taught to translate. They hear an English sentence, change it into their native language, understand it, and then try to respond by translating back into English. This process feels safe at first, but it becomes a barrier later. Fast English feels impossible because translation is too slow. Real conversation does not wait for your brain to finish translating. To think in English, your brain must learn to understand without switching languages. This does not happen by force. You cannot tell yourself, I will stop translating today. The habit is deep, but you can gently replace it with a better one: slow listening. When English is slow and clear, your brain has time to connect sound and meaning directly. You begin to understand the message without translating every word. Slow listening changes how your brain works. Instead of asking, what does this word mean in my language? Your mind starts asking, what is happening? This shift is important. Understanding meaning is more powerful than understanding words. Children learn this way. They do not translate. They connect sound to situation. Adults can learn the same way when pressure is removed. Another reason translation continues is fear of misunderstanding. Many learners feel they must understand everything perfectly. This creates stress. Stress activates the analytical part of the brain, which relies on translation. Slow listening reduces stress. When you understand most of what you hear, confidence grows. With confidence, the need to translate slowly fades. Thinking in English also requires accepting partial understanding. You do not need to catch every word to understand a message. When you allow yourself to miss small details, your brain stays in English. Meaning fills the gaps naturally. This is how native speakers listen too. They focus on the message, not every sound. One powerful way to stop translating is listening to familiar topics. When you already know the context, your brain does not panic. It relaxes. Relaxation allows direct understanding. This is why simple stories, daily conversations, and everyday topics work so well for A1-A2 learners. Familiar content helps your brain stay in English. Repetition is also essential. The first time you listen, translation may still happen. The second time, less. The third time, even less. Repetition weakens the translation habit and strengthens direct understanding. Over time, English begins to feel familiar. Familiarity is the foundation of thinking in English. It's important to be patient with yourself. Translation is not a failure, it is a stage, but it should not be a permanent home. Each slow listening session moves you one step closer to thinking in English. Progress may feel invisible at first, but it is happening beneath the surface. When translation fades, something beautiful happens. Speaking becomes easier, words appear faster, your mind feels quieter. You are no longer fighting English, you are flowing with it. This is not magic, it is the result of gentle, consistent listening. So if you want to think in English, do not rush. Do not fight your mind. Give it slow, clear English. Let sound and meaning meet naturally. One day, you will notice that English appears in your mind without effort. And when that happens, fluency is no longer something you chase. It is something you live. When learners talk about thinking in English, they often imagine a sudden switch, as if one day the brain simply changes language. In reality, thinking in English grows slowly, step by step, through repeated exposure to the language in a calm and understandable way. This is where slow listening becomes one of the most powerful tools. Slow listening does not just help you understand English. It trains your brain to organize thoughts in English naturally. The brain learns language through patterns. These patterns include sentence structure, word order, rhythm, and common expressions. When English is too fast, these patterns blur together. The brain cannot separate them, so it falls back on translation. Slow listening gives the brain time to notice these patterns clearly. Over time, these patterns become familiar, and familiarity is what allows thinking without effort. Many learners believe that vocabulary is the main problem. They think, if I knew more words, I could think in English. But often, the real issue is not vocabulary, it is structure. Slow listening helps you hear how simple sentences are built again and again. You begin to sense what sounds right. This sense is far more powerful than memorized rules. Another important effect of slow listening is mental calm. When audio is slow and clear, the brain feels safe. Safety is essential for learning. In a calm state, the brain absorbs information deeply. Stress blocks this process. Fast English often creates panic, which pushes learners back into translation. Slow listening keeps you present in the language. Slow listening also helps you learn chunks of language, not individual words. Native speakers think in phrases, not single words. When you listen slowly, you notice these chunks. Phrases like, I think that, it's important to, or what I want to say is become familiar. Units. Later, when you speak, these phrases appear naturally. This is thinking in English. Repetition plays a major role here. Each time you listen to the same slow audio, your brain strengthens its understanding. At first, you may still translate. With repetition, translation fades. Meaning arrives faster. Eventually, you no longer notice the process. You just understand. This is the beginning of thinking in English. Slow listening also allows space for inner speech. Inner speech is the voice inside your head. Many learners think in their native language because that is what they hear inside. When you listen to slow English regularly, that inner voice slowly changes. English phrases begin to appear in your thoughts. This shift is subtle but powerful. Another benefit is better anticipation. As your brain becomes familiar with English patterns, it starts predicting what comes next. This prediction is a sign of thinking in English. You are no longer reacting word by word, you are moving with the language. Fast English becomes easier because you are already mentally prepared. It's important to accept that thinking in English takes time. There will be moments when translation returns, especially in stressful situations. This is normal. The goal is not to eliminate translation completely, but to reduce it. Slow listening makes this reduction gentle and natural. Daily practice is key. Even 10 minutes of slow listening can change how your brain processes English. Over weeks and months, these minutes build a new habit of understanding. English stops feeling foreign, it starts feeling familiar. Slow listening is not about staying slow forever. It is about building a strong foundation. Once your brain understands patterns clearly, speed increases naturally. Thinking in English becomes easier, smoother, and more automatic. So if you want to think in English, slow down your listening. Give your brain the clarity it needs. Trust repetition. Trust familiarity. One day you will notice that English thoughts appear without effort, and when that happens, fluency will feel less like a goal and more like a natural part of you. Thinking in English becomes real when the mind no longer has to stop and search for words. This smooth, natural flow does not come from memorizing grammar or vocabulary lists. It comes from automatic response. Shadowing is one of the most effective ways to build this automatic thinking and speaking ability. By repeating English immediately after hearing it, you train your brain to stay inside the language without hesitation. Shadowing works because it removes time. There is no space to translate, analyze, or doubt yourself. The moment you hear English, you respond in English. At first, this feels challenging. Your brain wants to slow down and think, but with practice, the resistance fades. English begins to move through you naturally. Many learners listen passively for years. They understand a lot, but when it is time to speak, our mind freezes. Shadowing breaks this pattern. It turns listening into action. When you speak with the audio, you involve your ears, mouth, and brain together. This full engagement strengthens learning deeply. One of the most powerful benefits of shadowing is rhythm. English has a natural rhythm and melody. When you only read or study grammar, this rhythm is lost. Shadowing allows you to feel the language. Your mouth learns where to stress words, when to pause, and how sentences flow. Over time, this rhythm becomes part of your thinking. You no longer think word by word. You think in patterns. Shadowing also builds muscle memory. Speaking is a physical skill. Your mouth, tongue, and lips must learn new movements. By repeating real English speech, these muscles adapt. This reduces effort when speaking freely. You stop thinking about pronunciation. Your body knows what to do. Another important effect of shadowing is confidence. Many learners are afraid to speak because they fear mistakes. Shadowing creates a safe space. You are not creating new sentences. You are following a guide. This removes pressure and allows practice without fear. As confidence grows, hesitation disappears. Shadowing also improves listening at higher speeds. When you speak along with English, you become more sensitive to sound changes. You notice how words connect and reduce. Fast English becomes clearer because you understand how it is formed. What once sounded like noise begins to sound organized. Understanding every word is not required for shadowing. In fact, shadowing works even when comprehension is partial. The goal is flow, not perfection. Over time, understanding grows naturally through repetition. The brain fills in gaps without conscious effort. For beginners, slow English is essential. Slow audio allows accurate repetition and reduces frustration. As skill improves, speed can increase gradually. This progression feels natural and motivating. Consistency matters more than length. 5 to 10 minutes of shadowing daily can create significant change. Over weeks, you will notice that English thoughts appear faster. Over months, speaking feels easier. Shadowing also changes your inner voice. Instead of thinking in your native language, English phrases begin to appear inside your mind. This is a clear sign of thinking in English. The language becomes internal, not external. The beauty of shadowing is its simplicity. You do not need expensive courses or complex methods. You need clear audio, patience, and daily practice. With time, shadowing turns English into a habit of thought, not a subject of study. So if you want to think and speak English more naturally, shadow regularly. Speak with the language. Move with its rhythm. Let your brain learn through action. One day you will realize that English no longer feels forced. It feels natural, and that is true fluency. Thinking in English is not something that happens in one big moment of change. It is the result of small actions repeated every day. This is why daily practice is the most important part of becoming fluent. Not long hours, not intense study, but simple, consistent habits that slowly rewire the brain. When English becomes part of your daily routine, thinking in English starts to feel natural, not forced. Many learners wait for the perfect time to practice. They wait for free hours, strong motivation, or a quiet environment. But language does not grow in perfect conditions. It grows through regular exposure. 5 or 10 minutes every day is enough to keep your brain connected to English. This regular contact is what builds familiarity, and familiarity leads to confidence. Daily listening and shadowing create a rhythm in your mind. When you hear English every day, your brain stops treating it as something foreign. It becomes familiar, almost expected. This familiarity reduces fear. When fear disappears, thinking becomes easier. You stop translating because your brain recognizes English patterns naturally. Another powerful effect of daily practice is habit formation. When English practice becomes a habit, it no longer depends on motivation. Motivation is unstable, habits are reliable. When you practice at the same time each day, English becomes part of your identity. You stop thinking of yourself as someone who is learning English and start seeing yourself as someone who uses English. This identity shift is essential for thinking in English. Daily practice also keeps why, our inner voice, active in English. The inner voice is the language you think in. If you hear English only once or twice a week, your inner voice stays in your native language. When you listen daily, English slowly enters your thoughts. At first, it may appear only during practice. Later, it appears during simple activities, walking, thinking, or planning. This is real progress. Short daily sessions also protect you from burnout. Long study sessions often create pressure and fatigue. When learning feels heavy, the brain resists. Daily micro-practice feels light. It fits into your life without stress. This relaxed approach allows learning to happen naturally. Consistency also improves memory. Each daily session strengthens neural connections. Words, phrases, and sounds become easier to recognize. Over time, you don't need to think about them. They become automatic. Automatic understanding is the foundation of thinking in English. Another benefit of daily practice is momentum. Each day you practice, even briefly, you create a small success. These successes build confidence. Confidence encourages more practice. This positive cycle keeps you moving forward without force. It's important to remember that progress in thinking in English is often quiet. One day you may realize that you understood something without translating. Another day you may notice that you spoke a sentence without planning it. These moments are signs that daily practice is working. Daily practice does not need to be perfect. Some days you may feel tired or distracted. That's okay. The goal is presence, not perfection. Showing up matters more than performing well. Over time, English stops feeling like a task. It becomes a part of your mental environment. You think in English because English is present in your life every day. This is how fluency grows, not through pressure, but through familiarity. So, if you want to think in English, don't search for shortcuts. Build a simple daily habit. Listen slowly. Shadow gently. Stay consistent. Day by day, English will move from something you study to something you think in. And when that happens, fluency feels calm, natural, and real.